Hello Indiecade, my name is Alex Handy, and I'm going to give you a walkthrough on how my game Court of Appeals is played. The theme of the game is a lighthearted approach to a legal battle. The first part of the setup of the game, and one of the most important features of the game, is each player will have certain attributes that the jury cards, which are these cards here, they show different jurors, each with different attributes that are important to them or that describe them. And so there are 4 decks here of 4 cards each that they feature their marital status and whether or not they have children, their occupation, their age range, and their level of education. And each player is going to have 3 of these at random. That's going to be their goal, basically, which jurors they're going to want to keep in the jury pool, which I'll set up in a moment throughout the game to win. So if you see in each of these decks, you'll have, in this example, an age range. So a juror 66 plus will vote for them. A juror between 51 and 65 years old, 35, 50, 18 through 34, will vote for them. And here, marital status and whether or not they have children. This one, it has 2 stats that make up one. I wanted each deck to have 4 possible options. So if they are not married and have no children, if they are married, have children, married with no children, or a single parent. So basically the way that you can get 3 at random is you have each deck of like attributes. You'll draw 1 from each of them, shuffle them up, and eliminate 1 at random. And each player will do this. And so now throughout the game, each player has 3 attributes that they're looking for in a juror. And this will be a secret from the other player, so that you're not entirely sure what your opponent is going for, gives a certain essence of mystery, and adds a certain challenge to the game. So one player here is looking for someone who's married with children, an advanced degree, and between the ages of 35 and 50. In this case, this player is looking for someone with a dirty job, which will be denoted on the jury card. They're not married, no children, and between the ages of 18 and 34. For the sake of this example, I'll have these up so that they can be kept in mind. So then these cards are no longer needed throughout the game, and you have 2 decks remaining: the action card deck and the jury deck. And these cards have been shuffled already, but the way you'll set it up with the jury deck is you'll set up a jury box of 12 jurors. And unfortunately, with this iteration, I do not have the text large enough to be visible on camera, but the exact details are not important for this right here. I accidentally got 2 cards there. So just to show a couple examples, we have Saul Pouncey, age 67, sex male, although that is not integral for gameplay. He's married, has children. He's an interior decorator, which I've denoted here as a creative job. His education level is a bachelor degree. And I've left space here as I continue to develop the game for flavor text to make the game a little bit more fun. I'd like to put a humorous spin on this game to make it a bit tongue-in-cheek. And so already we have someone who is married with children. So this player over here has 1 attribute on them, which isn't a very strong hold on this character, so they might not feel very confident that they're going to win this one. But we know that the other player does not have anything in common. He's not between 18 and 34. he is married with children, which goes against not married and no children, and he does not have a dirty job. So he has nothing on this juror, and he'll try to keep that in mind to perhaps eliminate this juror later on in the game. So then for the setup, each player is going to draw at random, off the top of the deck, 5 cards. So this deck is going to act as the timer for the actual gameplay. When this deck is depleted, the other player who did not deplete the deck will have one final turn to finish it off, so everybody should have a roughly even amount of turns throughout the game. So an example of a hand. These are the action cards that I've written on there. In this case, an expert witness will grant you 2 points to your case. Incriminating testimony, -2 points onto the opponent's space. Contempt of court, the opponent cannot play any cards for 1 turn. The wording of that is particular because I'll get into how the game is structured in a moment. Burden of proof, this is actually one of the more powerful cards in the game. This allows you to look at one of your opponent's hidden attributes that they're going after. There's a more limited number of these cards in the deck, so getting this is a big advantage. And then voir dire. This is part of the major gameplay mechanic in terms of controlling the jury. This is a more powerful card that allows you to draw the top 3 jurors from the deck and pick up to 1. So sometimes you will get cases where none of these will actually be better off than anyone on the table. So you can choose to just discard them or pick 1 to replace here. And then you would discard them at the end. And then just to show you, the other person, hostile witness, a point card, another voir dire, plea bargain, discard up to 2 cards from your hand and draw to replace them. If you're unhappy with your hand, have something that won't help you at that time, you can eliminate them and draw to replace them. More points, and witness tampering gives you a choice, basically. Draw the 3 cards from the top of the action card. It's very similar to voir dire, and pick 1 to keep. This gives you some choice in terms of what card you'll have in your hand. So on a player's turn, they have 2 things that they're going to want to manage. There's going to be a more traditional card game battle going on here, where you want to build more points for yourself than the other player, as well as attacking them with cards that might hold them for a turn, the contempt of court, or it might affect how they play the game. Simultaneously, you have to focus on keeping the jury in a way that will help win your case, because at the end of the game, you want a jury that's going to vote more so in favor of you than your opponent, but you're going to get an advantage if you've won the point game. The game takes place over 3 phases, basically. So that was the setup, which is the first phase, and then next is the jury selection / litigation. So that's as I described. On your turn, you have 2 actions. There's an action economy, so you can choose up to 2 actions to perform. I can draw a card, I can play a card, and on my turn I can either draw 2 cards, play 2 cards, or draw 1 card and play 1 card. And at the end of your turn, you're going to discard down to a maximum of 7 cards. There's an alternative action that you can play. One of the more common cards that appears in the deck, I guess those all got shuffled to the bottom, is the peremptory challenge. This gives you the ability to just discard 1 juror and replace it with the top card from the jury card. This is a very common action. It doesn't give you necessarily the ability to choose the juror that replaces him, but if you know that that juror is bad for you, you're just going to want to get them out of there. So as your third choice for an action, you can not draw any cards, not play any cards, but instead perform the action of the peremptory challenge. So you can just say, I'm going to use my turn to eliminate this guy and put a new guy in there. So also during the setup phase, I did not mention players, you can determine the length of the game by removing between 5 and 15 cards from the bottom of the deck. Since this is the timer, you're essentially shortening the fuse, making the game play through further. With a good shuffle, everything should be in there pretty evenly distributed, so it should not affect how the game is played. So I am just by myself here, so I'm going to just show you a couple rounds of gameplay so you have an idea of how that works, playing for both sides here. So with this first hand, I'm going to start off with this card. It's a very strong card. It can be blocked with an objection, but those are not particularly common in the deck. So I would play Burden of Proof. This allows me to, at random, take a look at one of the opponent's cards. So typically they would be face down to me. I pull it up. I now know that this player is looking for jurors who are married with children. That gives me a big advantage. He does not know, or she does not know what I'm looking for, but I know what they're looking for. Then that gets played into the discard, and I will draw a card. Sorry. So I drew the peremptory challenge, which this ends my turn. So now the other player with their hand, they may not feel like they have a particularly strong start here, so they're going to play one of the weaker attack cards, a Hostile Witness. So this is going to play -1 point onto me. Right there, they're already winning the point game by 1 point. And for their second card, they'll play Voir Dire, because they're going to get started working on the jury. So Voir Dire allows the player to draw the top 3 juror cards, and they'll pick someone who works best for them. So we have someone who is each of these cases, this person does not benefit them at all. They're not within their age range, their marital status is different, and they don't have that degree, so they wouldn't pick this one. The marital status matches up, but nothing else does. And on this one, the advanced degree matches there. But I would pick this one just to illustrate the point. They don't know that their opponent is looking for jurors that are neither married nor do they have children, so they could play this one thinking that they've helped themselves, but they may have actually hurt themselves in the process. So they would likely replace this person. No, that helps them. This person, who does not benefit them at all. So the person they eliminated is 52, which is above their age range. Not married with children, so that's different than their marital status, and the type of degree is different than what they're looking for. So this person is essentially 0 points for them, so it was a good idea for them to get rid of it. Then that juror is discarded. And so that was the first round of play. So they've played 2 cards. This person played a card and drew, and it would come back here. So I'm gonna start with, I've been attacked. I might want to defend myself, feeling a little hurt. So I'm gonna go ahead and play an attack on them that's slightly stronger, -2 points. So now, even though we're both in negative points, I'm still winning by 1 point. And it's the amount that you win by that matters more than the actual point total. And so I would do that. If they have an objection card, they may have played it there. It's a reaction card. So an objection, when it came up, you would think like a legal drama and say, you have an incriminating testimony, objection, and you would assume that the judge ruled in your favor. So since they didn't play an objection card, I would feel like perhaps they don't have one to play, so I now feel safe enough to put a stronger plus on myself. So now we actually have a difference of 3 points between us. So I have a pretty strong lead on this side. And I've played 2 cards. Goes back to them. Sorry. Here they were, I'm low on cards. I'm not too happy with what I have, so I'll draw a card. And this is a card I actually already have. And then I would draw one more card, just because I want more options for a later turn. This card, actually, it's a lucky find. Golf Buddies, assumes you're golf buddies with the judge. This is one of the stronger cards in the game. It's like an objection. You can use it at any point, but it also has the unique ability of being the only card in the game that can actually block a peremptory challenge card. I didn't want the peremptory challenge to be a typically blockable card, because that's really the core mechanic of controlling the jury, which is really the main part of the game. I didn't want people to feel like they didn't have that kind of agency. So let's say this game had been played out. We're down to the final card in the action pile. And so I'm going to, as this player, pick up, oh sorry, there were 2 cards. I would say there's only one of them. I'd pick up the final card, signifying that we're now in the final round of play. I've got, I feel like I have a good lead, and let's say I felt good about the jury that I had there, so I drew the last card. I'm already winning the point game, so there's no point for me to really get the further lead, unless I'd actually like to strengthen my advantage, or if I feel like there are more powerful cards, he could bridge that gap. I could actually now play my Contempt of Court card, which would stop them from being able to take their last turn. But let's say I want to win by a lot of points, so I'm going to play -2 more points on them. They actually have -4 points, and I have +1. That's a difference of 5 points. Goes into, now that the draw pile is empty, it would go in, they'd have a rebuttal, basically. So they would say, actually, let's say as a reaction, they didn't want that. They would have played their Golf Buddies card to object that, and now it goes into their regular turn. Sorry for the confusion. And they would say, you know, I'm happy from their perspective, they're happy with the jury there. And they'd say, you know what, I want to just close this gap here. I'm going to play +1 on myself. So they have -1. This person here has +1. That's a difference of 2. So now the litigation and the jury selection phase is ended. So the only cards that matter in terms of action cards, your hands are finished. You can discard those or put them away. So we have established here, we have the difference in points. This player won, and they won by 2 points. So those 2 points in this final round here, which is essentially the scoring round, they can use those as extra points to award themselves, which I'll explain in a moment. With the jury over there, if they are losing a juror, they can spend both of those points. For example, if it's I'll actually explain that when I get there, because I think it'll be easier to show you. I have it written out, however, with an example in the rules packet, which you will receive with the playtestable version of the game. So you would go now into the jury judging. So both players will put face up their attribute cards, and you'll now go juror by juror, seeing who won them, basically. So over here, they're 67. That doesn't get a point from either of them. They are married with children, which means that this player has 1 point on them. They have a creative job, which doesn't matter to either of them, and a bachelor degree, which doesn't matter to either of them. So he is swayed towards this player by 1 point, and to this player by 0 points. So this juror now belongs to this player. And you'll continue going through each player, this one, the age applies to them, and the type of job applies to them. So they're going to win this one. That's over 2 attributes. The age doesn't apply to them. Marital status nor diploma works for them. So each player now has 1 juror that they will use, that they have won. This one, the age range goes to this person. Marital status goes to neither. The type of job goes to neither. And the agree goes to them. So here, this is what I wanted to show you. Here we have a tie. Each person has equal pull on this juror. For this person, it's the level of education. For this person, it's the age range. Typically, a tie, this would be a hung juror, and they would be eliminated. But this player won the point round, the point game, by 2 points. So he can spend 1 point of his 2 that he won by. So it's a point difference to say, actually, my argument was convincing enough to gain 1 more point. So that I've won this juror. And that's the advantage that you get from winning the point game. You can use coins or some kind of token to keep track of it, or just a piece of paper and tallies or memory to keep track of how many points you've won by. Jerry Williams, the age range belongs to this person, marital status to this player, and this person has no pulls over them. So this person won by 2. And you just keep on going through the deck, marital status, age range, not the occupation nor the degree belongs to either of them, so they've won this. Marital status belongs here, age range belongs here, and so this person won. 2 versus 0 there. Age range belongs here, type of job belongs here, so they're tied. I still have 1 more point due to the advantage, so I would spend that final point and keep this juror. And you're going to go back and forth until you have a simple majority. So in this case, it's currently 5-2. So 2 more jurors for this person will win the game. Age range belongs to this person, marital status to this person, and the degrees to neither. So this is a tie. This person is eliminated because I have no more points from the point round to spend on that. Age range belongs to neither, marital status to this person, degree to this person, and job to neither. So here's another tie. Age range belongs here, marital status here, and type of job and type of degree applies to neither, so this person wins. Here we have marital status, type of job, but the age range belongs here, so it's 2-1. So that person has that, and that should actually win the game, but just for completion's sake, age range to neither, marital status to neither, type of job to neither, but the type of degree to this person. So now at the end, we have this person who's won over 4 jurors, this person who's won over 6 jurors. So in this case, we have a pretty clear winner, but throughout the game, you'll have more closer games. So now this person has actually won the game. The flavor of it is they've won this legal argument. This lawyer or attorney has won the case, and much excitement and merriment to be had. And that's my game. I hope you enjoy it when you get your copy, and if there are any questions that you have, I will be the technical point on this, so you can contact me, and there's more explanation in the rules.